She got the bedroom, I got the couch. But by the time I turned 26, I walked through the gates of my very own mansion. Yeah, you heard that right. A mansion, with high ceilings, marble floors, and a chandelier that sparkles like I always dreamed. And you know what's even crazier? I wasn't the favorite daughter. In fact, I never was. If I'm being honest, it felt like I was just an extra in my own house, a burden, someone they had to deal with, not someone they wanted around. There were birthdays they forgot, family dinners where I wasn't even asked if I was hungry, decisions made like I didn't exist, and night after night, I curled up on that itchy second-hand couch, listening to the sounds of her, laughing from the bedroom, the room that was supposed to be shared, but never really was. While she got privacy, warmth, a door to close, I had silence, cold air, and the loud thoughts that never let me sleep, but I never said a word, because deep down I knew. One day, I'd have everything I was denied, and today, they watch me live it. Front row seats to everything they thought I'd never be. This is the real story of how I went from overlooked to unstoppable, from forgotten to a name they can't ignore, from sleeping on a couch to owning the keys to my empire. And it all began on one night. One night. I will never forget. My sister got the big bedroom, queen-sized bed, custom-built wardrobe, a vanity mirror with those soft, glowing lights around it. Everything brand new, exactly how she dreamed it. And me? I got the couch in the living room, old, sunken in the middle, smelled like wet dog no matter how many times I sprayed it. That was it. No door, no privacy, no space to call my own, no respect. Every night I lay there pretending it didn't bother me, pretending that the TV noise didn't keep me awake, that the hallway light beaming in my eyes wasn't a problem, that I didn't hear their whispers when they thought I was asleep. One day, I finally asked. I gathered the little courage I had left and looked my mother in the eye. Why? Why does she get everything while I sleep on this thing? She didn't even blink. Her answer cut sharper than I expected. Because you can handle it. She needs it more. Needs it more? She didn't have a job. She didn't even wake up before noon. Meanwhile, I was working 2 side gigs just to help pay the bills. I'd be up by 5, rain or shine, carrying pots full of home-cooked meals to sell before sunrise. While she snored under her fluffy blankets, I was out hustling. While she posted selfies from her perfect room, I was sweating on the bus, worried about rent. But somehow she needed it more. She deserved luxury, and I deserved a corner, a spot on a couch that sagged like my patience. That night, as I lay on that couch staring at the ceiling, something clicked. It wasn't just about the room. It wasn't about furniture or space. It was about worth, about how little they thought of mine. And in that silence, I made a decision. No one was going to hand me anything, no room, no comfort, no applause. If I wanted a different life, I was going to have to build it with my own 2 hands, brick by brick, tear by tear. Morning after painful morning, I would craft something no one could take from me. Not just a room, but a life. My life. And one day, they'd all see that the girl they left on the couch would rise so high they'd need binoculars just to understand her value. In the living room, I heard everything. Every single sound echoed louder when you didn't have a door to shut the world out. I heard the door slam every time my sister left with her boyfriend, like she owned the house. I heard the laughter coming from the bedroom, the same bedroom that was supposed to be shared between us. But somehow, it had become hers alone. I even heard my mom on the phone late at night, thinking I was asleep. She didn't whisper. She didn't lower her voice. Maybe because she thought I didn't care. Or worse, maybe because she thought I didn't matter, poor girl. That one's not going far. But the other one, she's going to make us proud. She's going to be a doctor. I was the other one. Not the favorite, not the bright future, not the one who's going to make it. At best, I was the one who helps with the bills. Nothing more, nothing worth admiring, but what they didn't know, what they never even bothered to ask, was that I had a secret. Every single day after finishing my 2 jobs, when my body ached and my eyes barely stayed open, I didn't go to sleep. I studied digital marketing, online sales, product strategy, every course, every tutorial, every article I could find, all of it on my old phone. A cracked screen, battery life that barely made it through a lecture, and a charger that needed to be twisted just right to even work. While they slept peacefully in the bedroom, safe, warm, and dreaming about tomorrow, I was wide awake. On the couch, learning how to build mine, I used one earbud. Only the left one still worked, and even then, sometimes it would cut in and out. But I didn't stop, because deep down, I knew. They didn't see me. They didn't believe in me. But I did. I didn't know when. I didn't know how long it would take, but I was sure of one thing. I was going to get out of there, out of that living room, out of that house, out of that invisible corner they tried to trap me in. And when I did, I wasn't just going to survive, I was going to win. One night, just like so many others, I was curled up on that worn-out couch, blue light from my phone flickering in the dark, earbud barely holding on to sound, and that constant buzz of exhaustion in my head, when I stumbled across something that would change everything: dropshipping. At first, I rolled my eyes. It sounded like one of those internet scams, the kind of thing people on YouTube promised would make you rich overnight, and never delivered. But something made me stay on the page. Something told me to dig deeper. So I did. I read articles, watched videos, all the free ones I could find. I took notes on my old cracked screen phone and re-watched the same tutorials until I memorized them. I learned how to build a store, how to find products, how to connect suppliers, how to set up payments, and finally, how to launch. I took my last paycheck, every single reel I had left, and spent it on a domain name and a cheap website theme. It felt crazy, irresponsible even, but something in me knew this was my shot, my first store. It was awful. The design looked like a school project from 2003. The colors clashed. The product descriptions were half translated and didn't even make sense. And the product, let's just say, no one wanted it, not even me. It was a complete flop. 0 sales, no traffic, not even a curious click. But I didn't quit. Instead, I started over. I redesigned the whole thing from scratch. This time I read every single feedback I could find online. I studied copywriting, how to use words to make people feel something, how to sell without sounding like I was selling, and when I didn't have money for fancy ads, I tested everything with just 5 reais a day. Sometimes less, and then one night, just like the one where it all started, ping a notification, 1 sale. I stared at the screen for a full minute, thinking it was a glitch. But then, ping, another, ping, 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 10 sales. In one day, I couldn't believe it. My hands were shaking. I refreshed the dashboard at least 10 times just to be sure, and then the numbers came in. 3,200. In a single month. More than I made in 3 months working outside, juggling shifts and swallowing. Pride, that moment. It was like someone had cracked a window in a room I thought had no air. I saw light, not just a little, not just a flicker, a beam. And I made a promise to myself right then, if there was even the smallest chance to turn that light into something bigger, I was going to do it. I wasn't just going to sit in the glow. I was going to flip the switch and light the whole damn house. 3 months later, I finally left the couch. Not because someone offered me the bedroom, not because they suddenly recognized my worth, but because I made a decision. I rented my own place, a tiny apartment, just 1 room, a cramped kitchen, and a window that barely opened, but it was mine, every inch of it. No noise from other people, no judgmental looks, no pretending I didn't hear the whispers behind doors I was never allowed to close, and you know what they said when they found out. Why would you do that? You're just wasting money. Come back home, your sister misses you. Misses me. She barely looked me in the eye. She walked past me like I was part of the furniture, and not even the good kind. But I didn't. Argue, because deep down I knew. They didn't get it. I wasn't leaving just to live alone. I was leaving to finally live. In that tiny space, with peeling paint and second-hand everything. I created my empire's first headquarters, a foldable table I bought on sale, a chair with one uneven leg, a laptop I paid in 12 monthly installments, praying every month I wouldn't miss the payment, and on the wall, plain white, cracked. In some spots, I placed my vision, sticky notes in bright colors, like they were screaming at me every morning. $10,000 per month, 100K in 1 year. Mansion by 26. Yeah, I wrote it all, not because I had it, but because I believed it was possible. I believed it before anyone else did, before any sale came in, before I had proof, before success even knew my name. And every single day I went to war for it, waking up early, working through the night, fighting doubt, fear, exhaustion, and sometimes even hunger. There were days I cried alone, nights I thought about quitting, moments where the silence of that apartment felt heavier than the noise I had left behind. But then I'd look at the wall, at those little notes, at the version of me that had dared to dream, even when reality was screaming back, "Who do you think you are?" And I'd whisper back, "I'm the girl who left the couch, and I'm not going back." Within just 1 year, my little online store, the one I built from that tiny apartment with a foldable desk and a dream, was making over $50,000 a month. It wasn't luck. It was late nights. It was saying no to every distraction. It was crying quietly while learning how to run ads, optimize pages, handle logistics, and stay calm when sales dropped. But it paid off. I built a team, people who believed in the mission. I stopped doing everything alone. I outsourced content creation, hired virtual assistants, set up systems, and finally stepped into my role as a real CEO. And you know what was even more powerful than the numbers? I became a reference in my niche. People started quoting me, mentioning my strategies, following my content like I was the voice they'd been waiting for. And that's when I realized it wasn't just about me anymore. I started teaching women, just like me, women who had been pushed to the side, overlooked, underestimated, women who were still stuck on the couch of life, forgotten in their own homes, swallowed by responsibilities, and told they were dreaming too big for someone. With nothing, I gave them what no one gave me, a chance, a vision, a roadmap, and they ran with it. Some of them built their own stores. Others became freelancers, influencers, product creators. It was like watching a whole generation of invisible women come back to life. In my second year, I launched my second store, then a third. I reinvested every cent I could, tested new markets, diversified my income streams, built connections, and more importantly, I stayed grounded. No matter how high the numbers climbed, I never forgot the girl on the couch. I never stopped working like her, because deep down, I was her. And then it happened. At age 26, with my hands trembling and my heart pounding in my chest, I signed the deed to my mansion. Not a dream, not a vision board fantasy, not a someday, a reality. The kind with marble floors, a glass staircase, an office 3, times the size of that entire first apartment, and a key, a real key, that opened the door to a life I had built brick by brick with pain, persistence, and purpose. It was a Sunday, grey skies, rain tapping gently on the windows, that kind of calm, slow afternoon where the world seems to pause, just long enough for you to feel how far you've come. I was sitting in my living room, not borrowed, not shared, Mine, marble floors under my feet, a plush, brand new couch that didn't creak or smell like wet dog, a fireplace that lit up with the press of a button, soft jazz playing in the background, peace in every corner. And then the intercom buzzed, a voice from downstairs. "It's your sister. She says she wants to talk." I hesitated for a second, not because I didn't want to see her, but because I didn't know which version of her would walk through that gate. The one who never saw me, or the one who finally did? I pressed the button. The gate clicked open. She walked in slowly, umbrella in one hand, guilt in her eyes. No makeup, no defense, just her. She looked around, eyes scanning the room like she couldn't believe it was real, like maybe she had always thought I was bluffing, that I was exaggerating, pretending. She sat down on the most expensive sofa in the house, the one I bought as a reminder that I'd never sleep on one again. She took a deep breath, and then softly, broken, she said, "You did it. You really did it. I don't even know how to ask this, but can you help me? I'm lost." And right there, in that moment with the rain falling outside and everything I had ever dreamed now real and in front of me, I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel pride. I didn't even feel like proving a point. I felt peace. Because at the end of the day, she got the bedroom, but I got the courage, and it was courage, not comfort, that brought me here. If you're on the couch today, being ignored, being doubted, being underestimated, let me tell you something important. The place where you sleep right now doesn't define where you can wake up tomorrow. Your story isn't about where you start. It's about what you choose to do with it. You don't need to stay stuck. You don't need to wait for someone's permission. You don't need to keep letting the world tell you your limits. I'm living proof of that. There was a time when I thought I was invisible, when I felt like I was always the one left behind, forgotten in the shadows. But then I chose to believe, even when it felt impossible, that I was more than my circumstances, and now I'm standing here telling you this story, showing you what can happen when you refuse to settle, when you choose to fight for your dreams, no matter the odds. And you know what? Now you can be proof too. You can rise from wherever you are. You can create something bigger than yourself. You can break free from the couch, the doubts, the limitations. It all starts with a choice. One decision: to believe in yourself when no one else does. To keep pushing, even when it seems like everything is against you. So, if you're listening to this right now, know this: tomorrow doesn't have to be the same as today. You can change it. And if I did it, you can do it too. If this story touched you, if it made you think about your own journey, your own struggles, then I want you to do something right now. Drop a comment below. I'm going to get off the couch too. Yes, right now. Put it out there. Declare it to the world. Make that promise to yourself. And if you know someone who needs to hear this today, someone who's been stuck, lost, or feeling invisible, share this with them. Because sometimes all it takes is a spark. Just one small moment, one shift in thinking, one tiny spark, and it can set off a fire that changes everything. Maybe this is the spark for you. Maybe it's the push you've been waiting for. Maybe this is the moment when you decide that you're done waiting, done staying on the couch. Because trust me, that spark can be yours. So take it, let it fuel you, and don't look back. You have everything you need to rise, and now it's your turn.